they say that your 20s is about finding yourself, like you're lost somehow, like you're a separate entity from yourself that's lost. Like, I'm not my keys. I'm not my phone. I'm not any of the things in my pocket that could be left behind by accident or get lost in the shuffle. Oh, I am not one of the various pieces of junk that I have throughout this room. You can't see it here on camera, but there's various junk in here that could easily get lost in the shuffle. No, like Anakin Skywalker would say, I'm a person and my name is Henry. I think a better way to describe is, and I saw this on someone's shirt back in high school, that it's not, that life isn't about finding yourself, it's about making yourself. And I think that's a better way to put it. So, in your 20s, that's when you're forging your identity, or as Uncle Ben from Toby's Spider Man movie would say, you're at the point where you're going to become the man you'll be the rest of your life. And scientifically speaking, that's not completely inaccurate, because age 25 is when the brain hardens, when it stops developing. Yes, it can still change. You can still learn things after 25. You can still things do still change. Neural pathways do can be altered after the age of 25. But it's not as easy. It's not as malleable. Basically up until the age of 25, your brain is constantly developing or changing more frequently. That's the part of the argument for why children's screen time should be limited or not allowed in the first place. It's because their brains are constantly developing and changing. They lack impulse control. That's why you have to be 16 to begin to be eligible to for the privilege of driving, which the ability to drive is legally a privilege. You have no right to get behind a wheel, legally speaking. It's all a privilege that can be more easily revoked. Like, you have to do something pretty bad to lose your freedom, like your ability to go where you want, do what you want. You have to actually do something pretty bad to end up in prison or something like that. Whereas you can mess up slightly enough and they can take away your license. And as far as I know, there's almost no way to get it back after a certain point. Don't quote me on that, because I'm not knowledgeable on driver's license law. I just know that it's that under the law it's a privilege, which makes it easier to deny someone based on, well, certain things. Like they're not going to give driver's licenses out to blind people. That's actually one of the ways the one of the exceptions that the Americans with Disabilities Act makes. This is more for hiring with bus drivers. They are not going to force a bus company to hire a blind person to drive a bus. I'll give you one guess as to why you wouldn't want a blind person driving a bus. Not even like Daredevil with or Toph Bei Fong with their alternative form of seeing, if you will. Because legally speaking, it would fundamentally alter the nature of the activity. It would be beyond the realm of reasonable accommodation, which is what that allows. But that's a topic for a different video. Let's get back to the myth of finding yourself and why making yourself or building yourself or establishing yourself, comment what word you want to use. I just know that making yourself or finding yourself is dumb. That's a dumb way to put it. You're probably one of the someone from the movie Idiocracy if you think that finding yourself is the way to describe it. Nah, that's a little too harsh. It's misguided. It's an inaccurate way to describe the process of it because finding yourself implies that that's always there and you just have to discover it. Now you might be able to find something that relates to your identity, like I found YouTube at the age of 12. I made myself someone who creates stuff for YouTube by making videos. I made myself someone who makes videos from the age of 12 to this day. I didn't find myself as a video creator. I made myself a video creator. I've established myself on YouTube multiple times through multiple channels, as I talked about in my video about the different YouTube channels I attempted. I tried the collaboration channel. It didn't go the way I hoped. As I've said in the past, no hard feelings against the other people involved. You could say I found out things about myself. You could say I found out that doing a YouTube channel collaboratively requires a lot more personal sacrifice than I expected. And I learned that. And as a result, that's why I fly solo. I didn't find myself. I tried making something of myself, and again, it didn't go the way I expected. Yeah, I didn't find myself as a Star Wars fan. I was made a Star Wars fan by being shown the original trilogy and the prequels and seeing the Revenge of the Sith in the theater. You could say I found Star Wars and found realized that I was a fan of it, and I was made a fan, but I wouldn't call it finding myself as a Star Wars fan. Although this starts to get into the nature versus nurture thing, because I've been a Star Wars fan as long as I can remember. But let's focus on the age range we originally started with, our 20s. Yeah, finding yourself is not an accurate description of it. Making yourself is the better way to describe it. You're making the person that will be for the rest of your life, or you're making the foundation of that because you can still change in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s. Well, I think the 50s is the cutoff point because, as I learned from my TV production education, advertisers don't really care about ages 50 and up. The reason that 18 to 49 is the target age demographic is because they're more likely to buy things. They're more likely to have their minds changed to get something else. So, for example, if you're in that 18 to 49 demographic, you are more likely to get to switch to iPhone from an Android or vice versa. According to my TV teacher, if you're above the age of 50, you're more likely to stay where you are. His exact words were, they're, quote, set in their ways. So, advertisers don't care about you if you're over the age of 50, unless it's a scammer trying to trick you or something. But that's a different topic. But hey, you can still make some changes after 50, and sometimes you have to contend with change. Like with my grandmother, 83 years old, had to learn the basics of iOS so that she could make the change from the traditional hearing aids to the AirPods Pro as hearing aids because she needed to have an iPhone to unlock the feature and be able to manage the AirPods from there. I also had to make this manual of sorts for how to do that when I got back. It was my mom's idea. And you know what? I had no problem doing that. May as well. If it means not getting phone calls every single day of asking what to do and how to undo the thing that she accidentally did, then I can live with that. But you get the idea. Your 20s is not about finding yourself, it's about making yourself, as my classmate's shirt said. It's about building up who you are, it's about establishing who you are, it's about determining your course for the rest of your life. Because, yeah, there might be some potential that you have, but saying that you're finding yourself is non accurate way to describe it. I think I was a little harsh earlier when I said it was a dumb way to describe it, or what I said about how you might be one of those people from the movie Idiocracy. Yeah, it's not about finding yourself, it's about establishing yourself, building yourself up, figuring out what you like and don't like, knowing what you're willing to deal with or not willing to deal with, figuring it out, going through trial and error, making something of yourself and becoming the person you'll be for the rest of your life or a general idea of it. So I'm going to leave it here for the video. Comment down below what you think about all this, whether you think finding or making yourself is the more accurate description. Because if you still think that using the word finding is the better way to describe it, I'd love to know the reasoning. Give this video a like, subscribe for daily videos, and I will see you soon.